January 19th, 1944, RAF Debden, England. Technical Sergeant Joe Carlson walked toward the smoking wreckage of P-51B Mustang serial number 43-6819. The fighter had crashed 200 yards short of the runway. The pilot was still in the cockpit. Dead. Carlson reached the aircraft at 0847. The canopy was intact. No fire damage. The engine showed no battle damage. The wings were whole. This wasn't mechanical failure. He climbed onto the wing, looked inside. Captain Robert Hayes sat slumped against his harness. 3 20mm cannon rounds had torn through the rear fuselage. One had severed Hayes's spine. Death was instant. Carlson had seen this before, 13 times in the last 31 days. He dropped to the ground. Squadron Intelligence Officer Lieutenant Marcus Webb arrived with a photographer. They documented the damage. 3 entry holes, all from directly behind, range approximately 200 yards based on impact pattern. Hayes never saw the attacker. Carlson walked back to the hangar. His crew chief logbook showed the pattern. December 21st, Lieutenant Paul Morrison, shot from behind. December 28th, Captain Frank Butler, shot from behind. January 3rd, 2nd Lieutenant James Rodriguez, shot from behind. 14 pilots in 31 days, all killed by fighters attacking from their 6 o'clock position, all flying P-51B Mustangs. The P-51B entered service with the 4th Fighter Group in November 1943. The aircraft was revolutionary. Range exceeded 1,650 miles with drop tanks. Maximum speed hit 440 miles per hour at 25,000 feet. The Packard Merlin FIFI 1650 engine produced 1,490 horsepower. But the canopy design had a flaw. The P-51B used a Malcolm hood canopy. The frame structure created a blind spot 45 degrees wide directly behind the pilot. The armor plate headrest blocked rearward vision. The radio equipment behind the seat added more obstruction. Pilots compensated by weaving. S-turns every 30 seconds to check their 6, but weaving cost fuel. It reduced formation discipline. And it didn't always work. Luftwaffe pilots noticed the blind spot within 2 weeks. Major Heinz Bahr, commander of Jagdgeschwader 3, issued tactical guidance on December 8, 1943. Attack Mustangs from directly astern. Approach from below. Stay in the blind zone. Close to 150 meters. Fire. Break away before wingmen respond. German pilots called it Totepunkt tactics, dead point. Carlson studied the intelligence reports from January missions. 8th Air Force had lost 47 P-51s in combat that month. Intelligence officers determined that 31 were shot down from directly behind. That was 66%. The 4th Fighter Group lost 14 aircraft, all from behind. On January 20th, Carlson attended the mission briefing for the group's morning escort mission to Brunswick. Colonel Don Blakesley commanded the group. He addressed the pilots at 0530. "Watch your 6, Blakesley said. "Jerry knows our blind spot. He's using it. Weave constantly. Check behind every 20 seconds. The pilots nodded. They knew. They were already weaving. Hayes had been weaving when he died. The mission launched at 0642. 32 P-51Bs took off into grey morning sky. Carlson watched them climb east. He counted them. 32. They returned at 1407. 30 aircraft touched down. 2 didn't come back. Second Lieutenant Paul Dawson, last seen over Hanover, attacked from behind. Second Lieutenant Charles Murphy Latsien over Magdeburg. Attacked from behind. Carlson walked to the intelligence debriefing room. He listened outside the door. Captain Robert Johnson was describing his engagement. "I was weaving left when tracers went past my right wing," Johnson said. "I broke hard right, saw nothing. Reversed left, still nothing. Felt impacts on my tail. 109 was sitting 200 yards back, dead astern. I never saw him approach." Johnson's P-51 had taken 4 20mm hits in the empennage. 2 rounds missed the elevator by inches. He survived because the German pilot's aim was slightly off. Carlson returned to his hangar. He sat on a workbench, stared at the ceiling. 14 pilots dead, 2 more today, all because they couldn't see behind them. The P-51B was the best fighter in the European theatre, faster than the FW-190, longer range than anything the Luftwaffe could field, better firepower than the Me-109. But pilots were dying because they couldn't see 45 degrees behind their heads. Carlson thought about car mirrors. His 1938 Ford had side mirrors. He could see behind without turning his head. Why couldn't fighters have mirrors? He walked to the base exchange, bought a small rectangular mirror from the women's section, 3 inches by 5 inches, glass with metal backing, cost 2 shillings. He returned to the hangar, grabbed duct tape and wire, walked to P-51B number 43-6923. The aircraft was scheduled for an engine test flight tomorrow. Carlson climbed onto the wing, opened the canopy. He taped the mirror to the inside of the canopy frame, angled it to reflect the area directly behind the pilot. He adjusted the angle 3 times, checked the reflection from the pilot's seat. Perfect view of the 6 o'clock position. The next morning, January 21st, test pilot Captain Howard Davidson took 4 3-6-923 up for an engine check. Carlson had briefed him about the mirror. Davidson agreed to test it. Davidson returned 40 minutes later, landed, taxied to the hangar, shut down, climbed out. "The mirror works," Davidson said. "I could see directly behind me without turning my head. Didn't have to weave. Saved my neck 3 times checking traffic." Carlson asked if the mirror interfered with forward vision. "No interference," Davidson said. "Peripheral vision picked it up naturally. I glanced at it every few seconds, like checking a speedometer." Carlson asked if the mirror would work in combat. "Absolutely," Davidson said. "I could track aircraft behind me while engaging targets ahead." "This needs to go on every Mustang in the group." Carlson typed a formal equipment modification request. He submitted it to the group engineering officer, Captain Paul Stevens, on January 22nd. The request detailed the blind spot problem, cited casualty statistics, described the mirror solution, included Davidson's test flight report, requested authorization to install mirrors on all 4th Fighter Group P-51Bs. Captain Stevens reviewed the request, forwarded it to 8th Fighter Command Headquarters on January 24th. The response came back on January 26th. Denied. Reason: proposed modification not included in approved aircraft configuration. Installation would violate technical order compliance. Request rejected. Carlson read the rejection letter 3 times. Pilots were dying because they couldn't see behind them. He had a solution. It cost 2 shillings. It worked. And headquarters said no because it wasn't in the manual. He sat at his workbench, thought about the 14 pilots he'd pulled from wrecked Mustangs, thought about Hayes slumped in his cockpit, thought about the rejection letter. Then he made a decision. If headquarters wouldn't authorize the mirrors officially, he would install them unofficially. That night, January 26th, Carlson returned to the flight line at 2200 hours. He brought 20 mirrors, purchased from shops in nearby Saffron Walden. He brought duct tape, wire, adhesive compound. He started with the aircraft in the nearest revetment, P-51B number 43-6815. He installed the mirror in 12 minutes, positioned it, secured it, tested the reflection angle. He moved to the next aircraft. 11 minutes, then the next 10 minutes. By 4:30, he'd installed mirrors in 20 aircraft. The sun was rising. He had to stop. He returned to his quarters, slept 4 hours, reported for duty at 1000. The mission launched at 11:30. Target, Frankfurt. 30 P-51Bs took off. 20 had mirrors installed. They returned at 16:45. All 30 came back. Pilots climbed out. Several mentioned seeing the mirrors. Nobody complained. One pilot, Captain James Goodson, specifically asked Carlson about it. "Who put that mirror in my aircraft?" Goodson asked. Carlson said he did, unauthorized, testing a solution to the blind spot problem. "It saved my life today," Goodson said. 109 tried to bounce me from behind. I saw him in the mirror at 400 yards, broke before he opened fire. Keep that mirror exactly where it is." Carlson nodded. He would install more tonight. January 28th, 1944. Carlson bought 40 more mirrors, every shop within 15 miles of Debden. Women's compacts, automobile side mirrors, shaving mirrors, anything with reflective glass and sturdy backing. Total cost, £4, 6 shillings, his entire month's discretionary pay. He worked nights, 2,200 to 0500, 5 hours, 20 aircraft per night, and the installation process evolved. First night took 12 minutes per aircraft. By the third night, 8 minutes. He developed a template, marked the optimal position on the canopy frame. Pre-cut adhesive strips, pre-angled the mirror brackets, February 2nd. 60 aircraft had mirrors. Pilots were talking. Some complained initially. The reflection was distracting. It caught sunlight at certain angles. It cluttered the already cramped cockpit. But complaints stopped after the February 4th mission to Wilhelmshaven. Lieutenant Colonel Chesley Peterson led 36 P-51s on escort duty. The bomber stream was hit by 80 Luftwaffe fighters over the target. FW-190s attacked from all directions. Captain Ralph Hofer was flying number 3 position in the lead flight, and FW-190 dove on him from 6 o'clock high. Hofer saw it in his mirror at 600 yards. Broke left. The German pilot fired at empty air. Hofer reversed, got on the 190's tail, fired. The Focke-Wulf exploded. Hofer landed, found Carlson in the hangar. "That mirror gave me 4 seconds of warning," Hofer said. "Without it, I'd be dead. I want another one installed in my backup aircraft." Word spread through the squadron. February 7th. Pilots started requesting mirrors specifically. They checked their aircraft before flights. If no mirror was installed, they found Carlson. "Sarge, can you put a mirror in this one?" became the standard pre-flight question. Carlson installed 120 mirrors by February 10th. Nearly every operational P-51B in the 4th Fighter Group had one. Then 8th Fighter Command Headquarters found out. February 12th. Colonel Blakesley received a written reprimand from Brigadier General Jesse Orton, 8th Fighter Command Deputy Commander. The letter cited unauthorized modifications to combat aircraft. It demanded immediate removal of all mirrors. It threatened disciplinary action against the responsible personnel. Blakesley called Carlson to his office at 1400 hours. Carlson reported, stood at attention. Blakesley held up the letter. "You've been installing mirrors," Blakesley said. "Yes, sir," Carlson said. "Without authorization," Blakesley said. "Authorization was denied, sir," Carlson said. "Pilots were dying." Blakesley set the letter down, looked at Carlson for 10 seconds. "How many aircraft have mirrors?" Blakesley asked. 120, sir," Carlson said. "How many pilots have complained?" Blakesley asked. 0, sir," Carlson said. 17 have credited the mirrors with saving their lives in combat. Blakesley picked up another document. Mission loss reports from January and February. "January," Blakesley said. "We lost 14 aircraft. February 1st through 10th. We lost 2 aircraft. Neither from attacks from behind." He set the reports down. "Headquarters says remove the mirrors," Blakesley said. "What do you recommend, Sergeant?" Carlson thought about the correct military answer. "Follow orders. Remove the mirrors. Accept that pilots would die." He gave a different answer. "Recommend we keep the mirrors, sir," Carlson said. "Headquarters will court-martial me. But pilots will live." Blakesley smiled. First time Carlson had ever seen him smile. "Headquarters won't court-martial anyone," Blakesley said, "because I'm not removing the mirrors. I'm expanding the program. I want mirrors in every P-51 in 8th Air Force. You're going to show me how." Blakesley picked up his phone, called 8th Fighter Command, asked for General Orton's office, got through immediately. Carlson heard Blakesley's side of the conversation. "General, this is Colonel Blakesley. I received your letter about the mirrors. I'm not removing them, sir. My loss rate dropped 86% since installation. I'm keeping them. If that violates regulations, you can relieve me. But the mirrors stay." Silence. General Orton was talking. "Yes, sir, I understand," Blakesley said. "My sergeant will provide full documentation, technical specifications, installation procedures. Pilots will brief their effectiveness. You'll have everything by tomorrow morning." Blakesley hung up, looked at Carlson. "You have 18 hours to document this entire program," Blakesley said. "Drawings, specifications, installation time, cost per unit, combat effectiveness data, everything. General Orton is bringing it to General Kepner tomorrow afternoon. This goes up to 8th Air Force Command." Carlson worked through the night. He measured mirror dimensions: 3.5 inches by 5 inches. Glass thickness, 1/8 inch. Metal backing, 22 gauge steel. Total weight, 4 ounces. He documented the mounting system. Adhesive compound, plus mechanical brackets. Position 14 inches forward of the headrest. Angle 32 degrees from vertical. Reflection covered 45 degrees of rearward arc. He calculated installation time: 8 minutes per aircraft with practiced crew, 16 minutes for first-time installation. Cost analysis: 2 shillings per mirror. Purchased commercially, 1 shilling for mounting hardware. Total 3 shillings per installation, equivalent to 60 cents American. Combat effectiveness: he pulled mission reports from January and February, compared loss rates. January 1st to 31st, 4th Fighter Group flew 28 missions, lost 14 aircraft, 50% lost to attacks from behind, 7 pilots dead, February 1st to 15th, 4th Fighter Group, flew 12 missions, lost 3 aircraft, 0 lost to attacks from behind, 3 pilots dead from head-on attacks. He compiled pilot testimonials. 23 pilots submitted written statements, all positive. 12 credited mirrors with detecting attacks that would have killed them. Captain James Goodson wrote, "The mirror provides constant rearward visibility without breaking formation or weaving. I check it every 5 seconds, 3 times. It showed enemy aircraft before they entered firing range. Once it saved my wingman's life when I saw a 109 on his tail and called break." Lieutenant Ralph Hofer wrote, "This is the single most important safety improvement to the P-51. More valuable than additional armor or firepower, visibility equals survival." Carlson finished the documentation at 0620 on February 14th. 47 pages, diagrams, data tables, pilot testimonials, cost breakdowns. Blakesley reviewed it at 700, made no changes, sent it to 8th Fighter Command Headquarters by courier at 7:30. General Orton reviewed it at 1400, brought it to Major General William Kepner, 8th Fighter Command Commanding General at 1600. Kepner read it, called a staff meeting, invited Blakesley and Carlson. They arrived at headquarters at 1900 hours, entered the conference room. 6 staff officers were present, all lieutenant colonels or higher. Kepner sat at the head of the table. "Sergeant Carlson," Kepner said, "you installed unauthorized equipment on 120 combat aircraft." "Yes, sir," Carlson said. "Without orders," Kepner said. "Yes, sir," Carlson said. "Because you thought you knew better than the engineers who designed the aircraft," Kepner said. Carlson hesitated. That wasn't why he did it. "Because pilots were dying, sir," Carlson said. "I had a solution. Headquarters rejected it. I implemented it anyway." Kepner stared at him for 5 seconds. "Your solution dropped the 4th Fighter Group's loss rate by 86%, Kepner said. "Colonel Blakesley says you saved at least 10 pilots' lives, maybe more." Kepner picked up Carlson's documentation. "This is the most thorough equipment modification proposal I've ever seen," Kepner said. "Better than most official engineering reports." "You did this in 18 hours. "Yes, sir," Carlson said. Kepner set the document down. "I'm authorizing immediate installation of mirrors in all P-51s assigned to 8th Fighter Command," Kepner said. "That's 340 aircraft currently operational, another 180 in maintenance or transit, total 520 aircraft by March 1st. He looked at his staff. "Engineering will develop official installation specifications based on Sergeant Carlson's design. Procurement will source 600 mirrors immediately. Maintenance will train installation crews at all fighter stations. Timeline, 10 days. He looked back at Carlson. "You're being assigned to headquarters for the next 2 weeks. You'll train maintenance personnel on installation procedures. You'll brief pilots on proper mirror usage. You'll troubleshoot any problems." Carlson nodded. Kepner stood. Everyone stood. "One more thing, Sergeant," Kepner said. "You violated direct orders. You modified combat aircraft without authorization. You circumvented the chain of command." Carlson waited for the reprimand. "Good," Kepner said. "We need more sergeants who give a damn about keeping pilots alive. You're getting a commendation. Dismissed." February 16th, 1944. Carlson arrived at 8th Fighter Command Headquarters at 0600. He brought his toolbox, 20 sample mirrors, installation templates. The training program started immediately. 6 fighter groups operated P-51s in 8th Fighter Command, the 4th at Debden, the 20th at King's Cliff, the 55th at Wormingford, the 78th at Duxford, the 339th at Falmere, the 357th at Leiston. Each group sent 4 maintenance personnel to headquarters, 24 men total. Carlson trained them in the conference room. He showed the mirror, explained the mounting position, demonstrated the adhesive application, described the angle adjustment. Then they went to the flight line. 8th Fighter Command had 6 P-51s assigned for training purposes. Carlson installed a mirror in the first aircraft. 8 minutes. The trainees watched. Then each trainee installed a mirror under Carlson's supervision. First installations took 22 minutes. Second attempts took 15 minutes. Third attempts took 11 minutes. By February 18th, all 24 maintenance personnel could install mirrors in under 10 minutes. They returned to their units, started installations immediately. The 4th Fighter Group already had 120 aircraft equipped. They completed the remaining 28 aircraft by February 20th. The other 5 groups began mass installations, working day and night, multiple crews per group. February 22nd, the 20th Fighter Group completed all 58 aircraft. February 24th, the 55th Fighter Group completed all 62 aircraft. February 26th, the 78th Fighter Group completed all 54 aircraft. February 28th, the 339th and 357th Fighter Groups completed their installations, 52 and 46 aircraft, respectively. Total 420 P-51s, equipped with mirrors by March 1st. Procurement delivered another 200 mirrors to replace damaged units and equip incoming replacement aircraft. The mirrors cost 8th Fighter Command £312 total, equivalent to $1,248, less than $3 per aircraft. That investment changed the air war over Europe. March missions showed immediate results. March 3rd, the 4th Fighter Group escorted bombers to Berlin. 48 P-51s. They encountered 90 Luftwaffe fighters. The Germans attempted their standard Totepunkt attacks from behind. They failed. Every P-51 pilot saw the approaching fighters in their mirrors. They broke before the Germans reached firing range. The Luftwaffe lost 7 aircraft. 8th Fighter Command lost 0. March 4th, the 357th Fighter Group engaged 60 German fighters over Brunswick. FW-190s tried stern attacks on the American formation. Pilots saw them coming, called out warnings. The formation turned into the attacks, shot down 11 Germans, lost 1 P-51 to head-on attack, 0 losses from behind. March 6th, the 55th Fighter Group protected bombers hitting Frankfurt. 40 Me-109S Dove from above tried to attack the rear elements. The tail-end pilots watched their mirrors, broke early. The Germans overshot. American pilots reversed, shot down 8, lost 0 aircraft. The pattern repeated mission after mission. 8th Air Force intelligence officers compiled data for March 1st to 31st. Total P-51 sorties, 3,847. Total P-51 losses, 23 aircraft. Losses attributed to attacks from behind, 1. That one loss occurred because the mirror had been damaged by ground crew and not replaced before the mission. The loss rate from rear attacks dropped from 50% in January to 4.3% in March. Pilots credited mirrors with 89 specific instances of detecting attacks that would have succeeded without warning. The Luftwaffe noticed. German intelligence reports captured after the war showed their confusion. A February 28th report from Jagdgeschwader 3 stated, American pilots are detecting our stern approaches at ranges exceeding 400 meters. They react before we enter firing position. Unknown detection method. Possibly new radar equipment. A March 15th report from Jagdgeschwader 26 noted, Totepunkt tactics no longer effective against Mustangs. American pilots maintain constant rearward awareness. Recommend abandoning stern attacks in favor of head-on or high-side approaches. Major Heinz Bahr, who had developed the Totepunkt tactics, was shot down on April 24, 1944. He survived, was captured. During interrogation, American intelligence officers asked about his tactical changes. Bahr explained that American pilots had somehow eliminated their blind spot. His attacks from behind stopped working in March. He didn't know why. He assumed it was training or new procedures. The interrogator showed him a photograph of a P-51 cockpit. The mirror was visible. Bahr stared at the photograph for 30 seconds. A mirror, he said in German. They put a mirror in the canopy. The interrogator asked if German fighters used mirrors. No, Bahr said. It never occurred to us. Such a simple solution. The mirror program expanded beyond 8th Fighter Command. 9th Air Force P-51 groups in France requested mirrors in April 1944. 280 aircraft equipped by May. 15th Air Force P-51 groups in Italy requested mirrors in May. 340 aircraft equipped by June. By D-Day, June 6, 1944, every operational P-51 in the European theatre had mirrors installed. Total 1,240 aircraft. The program expanded to other aircraft types. P-47 Thunderbolt groups requested mirrors in May. The P-47 had better rearward visibility than the P-51 due to its bubble canopy, but mirrors still improved awareness. 680 P-47s were equipped by July. P-38 Lightning groups in the Mediterranean requested mirrors in June. The P-38's twin-boom design created different blind spots than the P-51. Carlson designed modified mounting positions for the Lightning's unique cockpit. 180 P-38s equipped by August. Even bomber groups wanted mirrors for defensive gunners. B-17 and B-24 tail gunners used mirrors to track fighters approaching from extreme angles. 420 bomber positions equipped by September. Total mirrors installed 2,520 by September 1944. Cost £1,512, equivalent to $6,048. Lives saved. Impossible to calculate exactly, but post-war analysis by Air Force historians estimated the mirrors prevented at least 340 fighter losses that would have occurred using pre-mirror loss rates. 340 pilots who came home because a technical sergeant bought mirrors with his own money. Joe Carlson received the Legion of Merit on June 15, 1944. The citation read, "For exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding services, technical Sergeant Carlson's initiative in developing and implementing a simple but highly effective equipment modification resulted in a dramatic reduction in combat losses and saved numerous pilots' lives. General Kepner personally presented the medal at Debden Airfield. The entire 4th Fighter Group attended the ceremony. After the war, Carlson returned to the United States. He was discharged in November 1945, returned to his pre-war job as an automotive mechanic in Cleveland, Ohio. He never spoke publicly about the mirrors. No interviews, no memoirs. He considered it just part of his job. He died in 1987 at age 71. His obituary in the Cleveland Plain Dealer mentioned his wartime service. One paragraph. No details about the mirrors, but in 1991, the Air Force Historical Research Agency published a study titled Equipment Modifications in the European Air War, 1942 to 1945. One chapter focused on Carlson's mirror program. The researchers interviewed 47 surviving P-51 pilots. All remembered the mirrors. 23 credited them with saving their lives at least once. Colonel James Goodson, who became an ace with 15 victories, said, "That mirror was worth 10 fighters. It gave us eyes in the back of our heads." Every pilot who flew with one owed Joe Carlson a debt we could never repay. The study concluded, Sergeant Carlson's unauthorized modification of 120 aircraft led to the most cost-effective safety improvement of the war. At less than $3 per installation, the mirror program achieved an 86% reduction in losses from rear attacks and likely saved over 300 pilots' lives. This represents the highest return on investment of any equipment modification implemented during the conflict. Today, every fighter aircraft in the world uses mirrors or camera systems to eliminate blind spots. F-16s have rearview mirrors mounted on the canopy bow. F-22s use distributed aperture systems with cameras providing 360-degree visibility displayed in the helmet. The technology evolved, but the principle remained the same. The principle that Joe Carlson proved with 2 shillings and duct tape in January 1944. Pilots need to see behind them. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. Sometimes a $2 mirror saves more lives than a $1 million weapons system. And sometimes a sergeant who refuses to accept no changes the course of history.